Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Tiny Bunny. This game is fun. I really enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it too. If you're liking it and you didn't see the last one, I'll leave the cards. You can watch that one first. And let me know what you think of this game. And please subscribe. That'd be great. I'd love you to do that. I'd love to get to 250 subs at some stage. That'd be nice. And yeah, I'm hoping to do a lot more of these kind of games. Free to play games on Steam or just other games on Steam that I have more variety of games to play. So I hope you're enjoying them. Please let me know what you think. Let's continue on with Tiny Bunny. Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off towards the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was spinning off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. And then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Oh yeah, why not, kid? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward. Olya'll be so happy. Not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time. There's that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea about what the accountant's job like. They count money, I think. Neighbours used to envy us, but nowadays Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals? Or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said? Or should I repeat myself? Better go pack your school bag or play with Olya. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. I'm not going to disobey my mother. I'm going to go to the kitchen. What's this? The dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. And Olya can't be lured close to it. She thinks Bobby is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door, turned on the dim lamp so she would see there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I liked to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3, better hide from me. And then she'd drag her feet in the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way to run away from home. Why was I running away from home all of a sudden? Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there's stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. You're killing me here. So you've had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now. Told you the kinescope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings? Please go see for yourself. Strange, it worked fine this morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. Anything in the fridge? Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olya there, but now I can only see bits of meat bits for soup and clumped together pelmeni. I grew to hate them already. The decrepit and stained cover calendar was once my favourite form of entertainment in Grandma's house. I remember waking up and running to the kitchen so I could tear off yesterday's leaf first thing in the morning, as if the coming day would get lost in Taiga Forest without my help. One day closer to New Year's, one day closer to Grandma's funeral. I haven't touched this calendar for years now. Since the time they started writing dark and spooky death chants that only made me gloomy instead of funny proverbs and superstitions, to be exact. I grabbed a dusty calendar leaf with caution and tore it off effortlessly. Sadly, the spooky descriptions from my childhood were still there. 7 horses carry the log. If 7 can't carry, bring the 8th from a ferry. They will take it away and never come back. This is the fate the log cannot escape. I crumpled the grey leaf and threw it in the waste bin, hoping to get rid of the anxiousness that washed over me. It was spreading inside me like an ink stain on blotting paper. I suppose we'll go to the front yard then. I opened the front gate and went into the field. Carefully, so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance towards the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there, distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. This time reached its limit. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing. Both me and Olya turned to stone, listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Out apartment became numb a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing or spending time together, almost like it was in a previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. One day it all changed. Something important left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if the fire broke up, and our parents were hurriedly packing their things, trying to save themselves and us. From who though? From the people with dead cold eyes, who sometimes visited our previous home, the eyes that only saw balls of worms and the black ground and everything, and somewhere far away a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There was only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping on icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and carnivorous needles froze into the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some objects was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favourite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was always anxious, but a tired look in his eyes, was still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vuva! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vuva! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vuva resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there, behind the trees, hiding. Vuva! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. I can't see it. Am I supposed to be able to see it? Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally towards the ground. Its blackness. There was no one there, just branches and roots. It was all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. My muscles were tightly sprung, my heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'll sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. Oh fuck. We're gonna run away. Lumps of snow fell from the branch that reminded me of the sound soil makes when you throw it into a pit on top of a casket. I immediately felt dizzy, as if I was balancing at a precipice. I slowly backed away from my finding. I felt like the moment I touched it, a trap would spring, and the mouse would get caught. Someone stepped on the ice behind me, close by. My inner voice whispered, "Save yourself, run!" My nerves got the better of me. I ran, burying my head in my shoulders. Someone was chasing me through the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason, gave me strength, spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. Roars were coming from me in all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, the twisted pines from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became vicious like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my legs in the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realising this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone, my boots slipped out the hole and my soles were on the hard surface once again. I reached a clear path with one jump and from there ran to my house. It's gloomy to say it didn't look threatening now. That house was my line of defence from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks. As if a dog was striking the woods with his paws, demanding to be let in so to escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in my front yard and my mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and it immediately gave way. Whew! I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My finger slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into my house and crashed at me in waves. Oh, it smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone and the bird was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from my mom, My fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with it the last bit of strength I had left my body. And with it the last bit of strength I had left my body too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel, her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand. Look, over there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratch at the door just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look in the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs! Just a small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely reminding of the hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, were you scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me, like a bunny. What if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attack Olya? Mom, I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look, they're alive. Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner. Welp, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy, cried Rolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come take your pills. A golden-coloured pill, reminiscent of a dead wasp, fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home, and you, Dad would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medicine, drinking it down with similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Vova's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters. And Olya's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawny indifference. Bring yawning indifference along with it. Anton, you done? See you can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, Mom, I was just thinking. What about, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes. And if she wasn't sure, she was looking at her own son and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything alright? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm alright, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discoloured. Fingerprints appeared in the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olya was done rewatching her favourite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to the other tapes. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink, and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the differences puzzle. Then I went upstairs. Jafar and Lego's voice died down. I walked past Olia's bedroom and slipped into my own. The simple action drained the last bit of strength from me. I sat in the bed, and then, and only then, I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to the medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort, as if the wind was blowing the walls like a pair of sails. The corners of the room bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a shroud. Olia? Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried lips. Yeah, Olia, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached towards the curtains. Ba-dum, ba-dum, beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. For a second, I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Gotcha! I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit above Olia's head with the setting sun in the background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day and sunlight poured into her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a light-woven child. Why did the police come? Did you do something? No, of course not. It's because of the owl, isn't it? I showed her a worried smile and rubbed her head. A boy got lost in the woods. Oh, he must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house showing his photo to everybody. Olia traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to the houses and not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. They've already scouted the forest. I changed the topic, as if trying to get Olia as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go and find this boy by myself. A lot of stuff like in Field of Wonders. Sounds cool, right? Olia wasn't listening to me. She asked in a hushed voice, while piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense. An owl won't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's... how should I put it? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, more like in that of a spooky tape our parents hide from us. Olia shivered and stole a glance at the window. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom won't even let me go and sit outside. I'm like a princess in the tower, can't go anywhere. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died of boredom. And if you have me in your cartoons and Mom and Dad, we'll be good to each other soon. You know what I would wish for my next birthday? I'd wish for Mom and Dad to turn to children, so we could go and play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you make them as small as bugs, we could place them in a little box. Olia giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tony, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue went over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone and Mom's always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of our tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happens after that. Let's go. Maybe a bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Olia. Then draw me a dino. Olia, please. Draw it. Will you leave me alone already? I blurted it out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I'd never screamed at my little sister like that. Olya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Olya from crying. Alright, you win, let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, put my hand on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Boo, you'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops. Well, close enough. Ollie rubbed her eyes with a sleeve of her pyjamas and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread, and you rewind the tape. The bread is fresh, just how you like it. Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll be yelled at again. Wanna bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Ollie disappeared in the doorway and I dragged my feet into the neighbouring room. The old Photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the button on the front panel. Okay. The tube warmed up and familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. It was a dark take of forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech was coming out of the speaker. Just a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rogue signal? Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently I used to watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch this channel again? On the other hand, Olya has asked me to find the tape. It won't be nice to disappoint her, but in my sleepy state, I don't have the strength to do all of it. I sifted through the shelves of dolls and blue hippos from Kinder Surprise. I found the tape I needed thanks to its shabby spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. The tape inside it rusted while rewinding to the beginning. This rustled. Oh, Jesus Christ. This rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was squatting before the TV. Images whirling in my head, me and Olya flying above the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister was laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I noticed that the clouds underneath us part, bearing the bristling pine tops. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees. The wings are no longer able to hold us, and Olya. You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes. No, come sit. Mom and Dad are arguing again. They're going through rough times. Rough times are lame. On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow into the dresser. What? Olya was entertained by the cartoonish dog Nana. Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog too. Yeah, right. I'll have my own dog in the Neverland, and a cat, and a parrot. Olya smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me. Have you lost all your baby teeth? Obviously. Olya frowned, deep in thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. What if they won't let you go to his land with adult teeth? We'll think of something. We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. And why would Dad forge documents? Olya took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. I heard Mom say that he did that before. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Olya got worried and touched her ear. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watched the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinkerbell and James Hook, as if she got sucked into the fairy tale Neverland. To be honest, I always imagined myself there, in a land where one never ages, where no one ever argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sound of broken plates at night. Felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality. Tony, shut the curtains, fast! Why? No one's watching you. It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed and fighting my drowsiness and closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside towards the treetops, towards the taiga forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows of branches scraping the snow. Tony, Mom thinks I made the owl up. Dad too, thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly, it does. You do believe me, right? That it comes every night and I swiftly grabbed Ulya's hand and looked at her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those qualities? Yes, I believe you, alright? Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot. They'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens. And don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. Doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed, like it's made up, just like Mom and Dad say. I'll get tired of waiting and fly away. We followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had happened. As if the forest didn't kidnap kids. As if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from Crocodile and Captain Pan was headed to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Ola's eyelids had dropped. She started snorting lightly, resting her chin on the side of her bed. I stood up and left Ola's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day of school tomorrow. Go to bed. You should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything is so simple. As if sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just a part of growing up and I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on and on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. Thank you for completing episode 1 of Tiny Bunny. Did you enjoy it? Do you want to know what happens next? We're already working hard on the continuation of the story. Well, that's it. That was an hour long. Oh my god. I think I'm probably just gonna upload it all as one. Even though it's super long. Should I cut it down? I might cut it down. We'll see. I might put it into 2 episodes or I might just upload it as one. When I'm editing it, I'll see if there's a good place to kind of stop it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. I think it's fun, it's cute, it's weird. All the things I like. I can't get lost because it's a book. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. And let me know what you think of it. Have you played it? And when episode 2 comes out, we'll play that. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a like. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Give me any kind of suggestions for games on Steam that I can get and play. Free games or games that cost money, I don't care. Anything that's I have more variety now of what I can play. Maybe this would work, but I know this doesn't need a lot to run. So, yeah, it should be okay. Yeah, let me know if you enjoyed it. Subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one.